Okay, everybody ready? Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Evening, everyone. First item on the agenda is to recognize the retirement of Dennis Blackburn from our police department.
So we all know Dennis. Unfortunately, he's not here with us this evening. He's one of those people that does not like the limelight, does not like to be recognized, does not like to get his picture taken. But we like to recognize our employees who are retiring and make sure that they're in the official minutes of the township forever. So Dennis started in 1990 in our police department as a dispatcher. And Dennis, at the time that he came to us, also had Microsoft training certifications. So he knew the most about technology on staff. So he not only provided us dispatching services, record clerk services, but also internal IT services at no extra cost to the township. He loved doing it. And in the 1990, early 90s, mid-90s is when the township was transitioning into the technology world with software, new software, website, email, all of that new technology evolving in the 1990s. So Dennis was a huge help to us. Never asked for any more money than what his salary was. Never complained about being spread too thin, the township asking too much of him. Was always here to help the township, the police department, and the township. At the time all this was occurring, we were in our old building, and they were in the first floor, and the township was on the second floor, and so he was always running upstairs to help people upstairs with their computers and anything else going on with technology. So a 32-year career with us, and his last day was last Friday. But we will miss him, and we thank him for his service to our community and to the police department and the township.
Okay, very good. And we do have a proclamation to give to him, which I'm sure you'll be giving to him shortly, right?
Yes.
So be it proclaimed, it is with great pleasure that we recognize Dennis Blackburn for his 32 years of devotion and service to our community on the occasion of his retirement. Dennis Blackburn began his career with the Horsham Township Police Department in 1990 as a dispatcher, and he has been an example of consistent dedication and service to the people of Horsham Township. During his time with Horsham Township, Dennis has also served as the department's records clerk, network administrator, and live scan electronic fingerprinting system administrator. Dennis is a certified technology specialist in network infrastructure and played a tremendous role in modernizing the police department as they transitioned from paper to digital records. He also was responsible for maintaining certification of all officers and accurately entering all uniform crime reporting statistics to the FBI's database. His service brings great credits to himself, his wife Lee, son Cameron, and Horsham Township. Dennis has forever left a favorable impression on those who have had the pleasure of working with him, and also the township he served so well. We wish Dennis the best of luck in the future.
Should we clap?
He's not here. The next one is Susan Glover.
So Susan Glover is a township resident. Susan was the president director of the St. Vincent de Paul Society Food Bank, and Patty, who is the new president, is with us this evening to accept the proclamation, which I'm going to get to you at a later date so I can seal it and we can put it in the frame. But Susan is also one of those humble people that she doesn't like to be recognized. She does not like the limelight. She does not like, she just does this for, it's her passion and her heart. But many years she's worked with St. Vincent de Paul. As we know, they provide their primary services, food, to low-income, needy families in our community. She's helped many years with our Pack the Patrol car event, as food is brought over to St. Catherine's to stock the shelves. But Susan went beyond just food. What Susan did and brought to these families that are in need in our community was Pico Energy, banks, financial advisors, institutions, and people to come in and talk to these families and help guide them, and what services they offer for people that need to get back up on their feet. So not only was it just food, it was all these other services that Susan was part of bringing to these families in Horsham. So very committed resident, very committed to those in need. Countless hours, volunteer hours, that she has spent with St. Vincent de Paul over to St. Catherine's. So she has stepped down from her title as president and director, and we just want to recognize her for her time in that position. Well, I think she still is volunteering.
Yes.
And that's Susan. So she is still volunteering, just not in the role anymore as president.
We also have a proclamation for Susan. So be it proclaimed, whereas Susan Glover is a longtime Horsham resident and has served as president of the St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. Catherine of Siena Parish in Horsham Township for 6 years. St. Vincent de Paul Society strives to improve Horsham Township and our adjacent communities by assisting and advocating for those in need. Located in the church hall at St. Catherine of Siena Parish, their services include a weekly food pantry, holiday gift collection and distribution, and educational and personal support programs. Susan has dedicated countless volunteer hours assisting the less fortunate in our community. She has provided food, overnight housing, financial assistance, educational programming, and other significant resources and services to community members experiencing substantial life challenges. We pay honor to and celebrate the outstanding volunteer career of Susan Glover and extend our sincere appreciation for her distinguished service and best wishes for continued success in all her future endeavors. We are honored to recognize the time and effort she has contributed to make Horsham Township a great place to live. Thank you again to Susan, and congratulations. Okay, so you'll get these. Okay, next item is opportunity questions, comments from the public. Anybody? Okay, there being none. Oh. Got in under the wire.
So, William Slaymaker, 104 Crabapple Lane in Hatboro.
Can you get closer to the mic, please, sir?
Yeah, you got to get real close so they can hear you.
Sorry. William Slaymaker, 104 Crabapple Lane in Hatboro. I am with Miracle Field of Horsham, Pennsylvania. I know that there's new council members here tonight, so I thought I'd take up the opportunity to speak to you about our project. We are building a special needs baseball field across the street in Deep Meadow Park. This is our cool new rendering that I received from the township. And then I just have some updates I'd like to share with you since the last session last month. We are working with our local, state, and federal representatives to get letters of support. We have we received our first letter of support from Nancy Genst. There's letters of support coming from Brian Fitzpatrick and others. We've applied for 501c3 status, and Brian Fitzpatrick's office is assisting us because the IRS application is taking a painfully long time, and it's blocking other efforts that we have underway. We've had a successful fundraising event recently. You know about the cool new rendering we have. We have a 5K planned. Our events committee is working with the township right now. The 5K will occur on April 2nd of this year. We've just purchased insurance for that event. We're in the next upcoming Horsham Connected mailer. Am I saying that, Mr. Gallagher? Is that correct?
I'm Mr. Walker, but that's
Sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. But yes, you'll be in the next township newsletter, the Horsham Connected
There's
newsletter.
too many bills in the names. And we have a large fundraising event scheduled for October 15th at the Fusion Warminster where we expect 1,000 people to attend. So I'm excited to be leading the project. Again, we're building the single special, what will be the single finest special needs athletic field in the country right across the street. So I appreciate your support.
Thank you. I know you were in here a short while ago, and appreciate the updates, and continue to come back and give us more updates as you go. Bill, that rendering, is that something that we have posted anywhere, or are we putting it anywhere for people to see?
We did not, Bill, they have a social media, they have a Facebook site and a website that they're posting that out. Yeah.
Okay, very good, sir.
It'll be in the next
Township newsletter.
Right.
That rendering.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, next is an update on the COVID-19.
Well, I can't keep up with this. This changes by the hour of what's going on with COVID. But the positivity rate, to no surprise, is the highest it's been in 2 years. So the township positivity rate is 27.18%, and the county's positivity rate is 25.01%. And that matches everyone else around us in the Commonwealth and probably in the country, what we're going through. So hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. We've been on several phone calls with state, county health officials, John Hopkins COVID team, CHOP COVID team, and we could be seeing a really bright, strong light in the next couple months with the pandemic. So we just have to get through these next few weeks with this variant that's floating out there now, and hopefully good news to follow.
Thank you very much. Next would be your update on the PFAS.
This is an update from 30 days ago for the long-term action plan. Well number 6 is scheduled for change out this Friday, January 14th. The residents have been notified of the parking restrictions. As you know, also that the Water and Sewer Authority is looking to construct a driveway off Sawyer's Way, so they don't have to have the parking restrictions on Greenwoods and Beaver Hill to do change-outs. They did award that contract, and it looks like late January, early February, the work will start, and it'll be a 6-month period once things start. Well number 40, as of December 31st, 50 million gallons have been treated since the last change out in August of 2020. The Aqua Interconnect treatment system is operating at 50,000 gallons per day, and the concentration, the testing is non-detect to 14 parts per trillion combined. North Wales Water Authority is 2.2, is their latest is 2.2 parts per trillion combined in October. And then also the Aqua PA Interconnect, this is pre-GAC, before the filter system. November 15th, it's been the latest at 2.6 parts per trillion combined. And then this bullet, I'm not going to read this whole paragraph, but as you know, Representative Stevens were successful in getting the Penvest money a few years ago for our water authority, $10 million. And part of that covered water mains to be installed. But it did not cover house connections. So the authority did do it was 2 miles of water mains that was installed. And now with MIRIA, the Military Installation, Remediation, and Infrastructure Authority grants that our Water and Sewer Authority are getting, they're now able to connect the people that these water mains went in front of their homes. So it's just more good news to share of how everything has come together with these outside funds to get people with private wells connected in Horsham. Private wells, those wells, this is all 35 of property owners expected to be installed by the end of January, the services. So this is what the Navy's doing this. So they took a group of homes that are between 40 and 70 parts per trillion, they're private wells, and the construction started this month. And I said that 35 property owners and services are expected to be installed by the end of January with house connections to follow. So that is a project that the Navy is funding. Our treatment plant, we're averaging 27.2 parts per trillion combined for effluent. And it's good news as the effluent sample results are showing a decline. So that's a good news that
we're seeing that at our treatment plant.
MIRIA grant-funded projects. This is all through the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority. So House Connections Phase 1, they were all 66 homes were connected, and that project was complete as of December 31st. The surcharge reimbursement, the authority is still working on that. As you see, 77,673 checks have been cashed. Approximately 300 owners have not cashed their checks. The authority will be sending a letter to all those property owners to ask them and request them to cash their checks. Still attempting to locate about 700 property owners. They did send 3 sets of letters were sent out, and at some point they will have to turn between the 700 property owners that they and the 300 property owners that haven't cashed their checks is around $200,000. They would have to
Turn that over to the state, and the people in the future sometime might see that they have some money that the state is holding for them to collect.
Water main extensions, also part of MIRIA grant-funded projects. Phase 1, McKean Road, all 6 properties have been connected. Welsh Road, all 5 properties have been connected. Watson Avenue, there was 2 properties, they've been connected, and all these projects
This was substantially completed as of December 31st.
Phase 2 of water main extensions
Extensions with Davis Grove Road between Keith Valley and Coons Lane, and 8 properties have been connected, and that project is substantially complete as of December 31st.
Stormwater management update, we'll probably get
Not much happened over the holidays with the Navy and the Air Guard, but the Navy pump and treat systems, they have 2 on the base. Both systems are operating. The Navy did add 1 additional well at the hangar 680 pump and treat system in late of last year. It was operational for a few weeks, but then the electrical issue forced the Navy to take that well out of service. It's not the pump and treat system, it's just a well, and the repairs are underway to get that well back up to be the water to be treated. Navy stormwater piping repair project is now totally complete, and we'll take that off your monthly update. And the Biddle Air National Guard stormwater treatment plant is working as designed.
some updates. The next RAB meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 9th at 6 p.m., and it will be a virtual meeting. We are sending them a written letter to the Navy requesting them to change the RAB meetings from the second Wednesdays, same night as your second Wednesday council meeting, so none of us can attend those meetings because there's a council meeting that evening. And we're also asking them to put it back in person and stop the virtual meetings. The Pennsylvania Department of Health Multi-Site National Health Study. We are one of 6 locations around the United States being studied. Right before the holidays, the clinic opened, as you know, and they are actively recruiting now. The goal for our area, the Horsham, Warminster, Warrington area, is 1,000 adults and 300 children. So far, 330 adults have been screened. The March appointments, February is booked. March appointments are almost full. The clinic is considering opening on Sundays to try to get as many people in. The child testing will start this month. And so we are, out of all the sites in the United States, the 6 sites, actually we are doing the best
With the number of community members participating in the short time frame that they've been open. So we direct people to the website to make an appointment. We ask them to call the 1-800 number to make an appointment. So we've been pushing this out on our social media and website. Signage will be going up around the township soon too, promoting the study.
On the Military Installation, Remediation, and Infrastructure Authority, in December, they awarded $12.4 million in clean water grants to Ambler Borough, Horsham Water and Sewer Authority, North Wales Water Authority, Upper Southampton Municipal Authority, and the Warminster Municipal Authority. This timeline hasn't changed. And just a recap of our drinking water, that 100% of our water is being served by the public system is either filtered or supplied, and our system is below detection levels.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Any questions? Okay, next is the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Treasurer's report?
The balance in the general fund as of December 31st, 2021, and thus the balance carried over into 2022 is $4,256,900. $203,407.20.
23 cents.
2021, we did transfer $796,054 to the Capital Improvement Fund. These funds will be spent on capital projects in the future. We continue to monitor the revenue and expenditures as it relates to the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The revenue for the month of December
2021 was greater than our projections. We will continue to monitor and take a conservative approach to keep the township in a strong financial position. For a more detailed presentation of our current financial position, I would refer you to your monthly booklet.
Give approval of the list of checks.
I move to ratify the list of checks and all funds in the amount of $169,160.01, and further move to authorize payment of the same. I move to authorize the list of checks and all funds in the amount of $494,614.58, and further move to authorize payment of the same. And lastly, I move to ratify the U.S. Bank credit card transactions for the month of December 2021 in the amount of $7,469.18.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next is a subdivision plan.
Yes, you have one land development plan for 233 Eastern Road. Our township engineer, Eric Garten,
From Gilmore Associates is virtual with us.
so you don't see him, but he's listening to us and will be able to participate. Dennis has him over here, so he'll be watching everything as the screens go up. He can see what's on the screens. He can hear everyone talking. But this is the Pete's Car Wash at 233 Easton Road, where Otto's is right now. They have been in front of the Township Planning Commission. They did get preliminary approval from the Township Planning Commission, and they are here this evening to present their plans to you for a preliminary review.
So who's going to be?
Here.
Yeah, Rob, right up to that mic.
You're just going to have to tell me which one to go to.
Sure.
I have all your exhibits here, just one at a time. so.
Okay. Rob Gunlock, attorney for the applicant. If you recall, we were in front of you after meeting with the Planning Commission on a sketch plan, and we presented you with a PowerPoint. We showed you the overlay. We had a discussion about alternate routes in and out of the facility, given the fact that technically there's 3 roadways or 3 potential road frontages. And that followed some meetings we had over the prior summer with the neighbors. We had several meetings with the neighbors where we vented the redevelopment of this property. And the overwhelming comment was the traffic and the cut-through traffic, and how do you prevent that traffic from coming from the back and through their neighborhoods. So the applicant here on behalf of the applicant is one of the principals, Jeff Altringer. Jeff owns the business with his father and his brother. It's a family-owned business, Pete's Express. Let's see, also John Wichner from McMahon & Associates is back here, who worked with us on the traffic issues. And John Legnickoff from Bowler Engineering is the civil engineer who worked on the designs. So we did have a number of designs. We worked with the Planning Commission. We presented them to you. We then went back and we fully engineered those plans. Those plans then were reviewed in depth with the Planning Commission. For the most part, all the comments contained in the letter will comply. There were a few clarifications that we did put in a memo and send off to you, and I think it was included in your package. We also discussed with the Planning Commission some conditions, so we went ahead and put those in writing and sent them on to you as well concerning operations here at the site.
They're in your meeting packet. It's the waiver request letter, and the conditions that Rob just mentioned are attached after the Bowler letter. It's the conditions from the Planning Commission.
Yes. So why don't we just run through these quickly if we can, Mr. President, and then we can touch on some of the review letters and the conditions that we've offered. This is just the existing feature. This is the proposed layout. We spent a good amount of time as part of the analysis of the access working with the adjacent hotel owner. And as part of that, that hotel owner granted an easement, actually entered into an agreement to grant an easement at the closing. And that agreement allows Pete's to expand that entranceway. That entranceway now is deficient as it comes in and it goes out. There's no decel lane there, and so we are adding a decel lane coming off of 611. We're widening it so you get a full right in, you get the left in, you get the right out. We've expanded that. We've also removed the parking on the left-hand side. There's parking there now, so we've opened up that whole drive aisle, so it's expanded, much safer access coming in to the site. So as you pull in there, you pull to the right if you're going to the hotel, either the first right or the second right, and then you work around the backside on the former Morris, which is a paper street, which is technically now owned by Pete's because they own to both sides of the center, but it is a paper street, and so we're respecting that. We have widened, which is a little different from the Warrington site. We've learned the lesson here to expand the stacking, so you come into immediately 3 lanes. So it maximizes the stacking capability. We have about 37 to 40 spaces that can be stacked before you go into the wash on site there, plus an additional 7 to 10 on Morris. So it's almost 5 times what the ordinance requires, and it's more than we have at the Warrington site. We also then have the gate back there, and the gate is addressed in the agreement with the hotel owner.
I think Mr. Weiss had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask you a question about the stacking.
Sure.
You mentioned that it's more than Warrington.
Yes.
So what you just described was roughly 50 cars we stack on site.
Yes, correct.
How many does it hold in Warrington?
Warrington has about 35, give or take, depending upon how you count them. It's not as efficient. But I will tell you, a couple things have changed since Warrington opened. Number one, they began to sell monthlies. A predominant number of their customers now have monthlies, like I have a monthly. The monthly customers don't wait in lines. So the monthly customers drive by, they can go in wherever they want, they paid for the month. It has reduced the waiting time. Number two, the locations that they're opening up. Warrington was an isolated location. They're looking to open more locations in the region. The goal is a location a year. There's one opening now next month, I believe, in Montgomeryville, right on 202. This one's opening here, which will take customers that are going to Warrington, who won't go to Warrington, will go here, and then they're looking at another location south on 611 as well. They're trying to open up more regional, which is spreading, their business around. They feel very comfortable that there's more than sufficient stacking here. There's always that salt day, Mr. Whiteside. There's nothing we can do. It's the Christmas of the car wash business when that salt goes down and everyone wants to get their car cleaned the next day. It happens a few times a year. Believe it or not, most of the year, at least half the year, they're closed because of rain, one other reason or another. There isn't significant business. But those salt days, they're busy. There's more staff on. We move the cars through quicker. The equipment's a little more efficient now than the equipment at Warrington. It doesn't shut down as much. It moves the cars through quicker. But in the unlikely event that we had more than 50 cars, we have a plan here. And the plan, and it's addressed in the easement agreement with the owner of the hotel, is that we can open the rear gate. So in the unlikely event that we had more than 50 cars, it would take potentially 65 cars to stack all the way out to 611. 65 cars, somebody's waiting now over an hour for a car wash, which is a little bit unrealistic, but maybe they have more time in their hands than some of us. But at that case, we would open the rear gate, we give the customers a voucher, come back for a free wash, we send them out. When the stacking then decreases, we close the gate and we let them restack again. It's a backup plan. So we do have a plan in the event that it was to stack out there. We also, in our agreement with the hotel owner, we cannot let the cars stack in the lane, and he put a provision in the agreement, and we shared the agreement with you, where we would owe him a fine, a penalty, if we ever stacked out into that main aisle. So he's protected himself in the agreement. We're protected with the provision that allows that gate to be open in the back for a number of reasons, not only emergencies, construction, moving in, moving out. Court would order it to be open for whatever reason, but we have a right to open it to prevent congestion on 611. So that's our plan if it ever occurred.
So how does the opening of the gate change the stacking?
It would change the stacking because if you look on the plan here, you're coming in the main entrance, you're making the left there on the paper street, and then you're making the left into the site. So we can fit 40 cars, give or take, after that point. If it started to stack out there and around the bend on the main entrance, we would open the gate, we would tell those customers that the car wash is temporarily closed, we would give them each a free voucher, and we send them back out and ask them to come back at a different time. When the car wash, which would still be running, the cars would continue through, and when the stacking decreased, so the line got back to the pay station there, we would close the gate and allow them to restack again. Again, we only anticipate that happening on the snow days, if it ever happened here at all.
How do you prevent them from going right?
We can't prevent them from going right, just like we can't prevent them from, anybody from making a right and cutting through the neighborhood. What we have done with the gate closed, and again, we're only talking about a few days a year if it was ever to happen. Again, we believe we have enough stacking for this car wash so it doesn't happen. But if it did, in the unlikely event, could those people potentially make a right? Sure. But they could make a right today. When they leave the car wash and they make a right on 611, they could make a right on the road and cut through the neighborhood too.
Wow, that's a lot of rights.
It is a lot of rights, and that's why we
I don't
designed
see a lot
it.
of people making a right on 611 to make a right.
Yeah.
We've done, if you would be willing, we've done in other developments where we have
Commercial against residential.
enforceability is a question, but a sign just saying, right at your gate saying no right turns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, we have no
We've done
problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do that for sure.
You are doing that, okay.
So my question for you, Mary, is this provision that if stacking becomes a problem, they're going to open the gate, is that set forth in anything that is before us?
Not yet.
How would we do that?
It'll be part of your approval resolution.
Okay.
And Mary, just to direct you, we did provide the a form of easement agreement that we've agreed to with the hotel owner. We haven't signed the easement because it's really an agreement of sale to purchase the easement that would happen at the closing when we close on the land. But it mirrors up a provision right in there if you want it, just to refer you to it. Yeah. So again, Mr. Deverett, we don't anticipate it'll be a backup, but if there is, we have a plan for it. And certainly the no right turn sign is acceptable there as well.
They're going to need a lot of signs, aren't they, Mary, for the interior, all this directional stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
The no right turn into the, yes.
Okay.
So anyway, where was I? Oh, we're talking, you asked a question, Mr. Whiteside, about the Warrington and the stacking. So the cars come through, they get their wash. Again, what we have found since the monthly sales have increased, that less people get the vacuums. So it's a little less than 50%. 1/3 get the vacuums, 2/3 get their wash and keep moving. There's, we believe, more than sufficient spaces there for the customers that want to stay and get the free vacuum.
When you say there's a monthly pass or whatever, or monthly,
Yes.
how do these people not wait? Or do they still have to wait in line?
Well, you still have to wait in line, but I have a monthly, and so I drive by the Warrington site, and I know at 10:30 when I went through this morning, there wasn't going to be a line, and I popped through. But if I drive by there, I go there regularly as a monthly customer, I have a feel for when the lines are and when they're not, so I go off
There's no
peak.
special easy
No,
pass?
no way easy pass. That'd be nice. I'd like to get that, but
Right.
no, you wait. You just judge your
Judge your
times
times. I got you.
and go through that way. It just, and it also facilitates quicker through because you're not fumbling with money. There's an automatic a metallic piece on your car. You pull right up, the gate recognizes it, it opens up, and so it keeps going through quicker.
Going to two things, going back to the gate real quick. So I think you agreed at your sketch plan review that however the gate is locked, combination lock, key lock, digital lock, that you will give us that access, that key, that code for
Sure.
our police, our fire, that you still agree to that?
Yes, we think some type of breakaway bollard gate that you commonly see more often, not like a chain, but the bollard that opens and closes, on a gate on a bollard that opens and closes. Not sure what you call that. Eric Garten would probably have a technical term for that kind of gate, but I think we're seeing more of them for emergency access.
And the vacuums, does it look like are the vacuums like your Warrington site?
Yes, it's a centralized vac system.
Okay. Because I see one in Warminster on Street Road that's red, and it aesthetically looks horrible. It's I don't know what car wash that is, but, okay. Your vacuums are not like theirs.
That's right.
Thank you.
Another one you're talking about.
I think we have some renderings that might hit that here, too. So that's the layout there. You see also we're rebuilding some parking for the hotel owner to the rear because we're taking their parking on the entranceway. That was a comment that was recommended to us early on to see, and the hotel owner did agree, and we're building them some replacement parking. We're also rebuilding the reserve overflow parking to the rear that was part of the plan when the hotel was approved. That's just a bloody mess back there, and we're rebuilding all of that. We've met with that neighbor to the rear there. That neighbor asked for the fence. We're providing the fence and the landscaping. The neighbors across the street asked for some additional landscaping in the front there, which we're providing as well as the fence. If we go to the next couple of slides. Sure.
Let me move off that, if you don't mind. Can you run through exactly how that opening the gate will work? Because when I look at it, by the time it starts backing out to 611, you're not going to be able to use that access way to direct people through the gate and back down to 611.
Not back down to 611, but again, this is only in the event that there's a salt day and we have more than 50 cars, probably more than 55 cars, because they'll make the bend. We would then open the gate and we would direct those customers out of the lot to prevent it from backing. Yes.
That's exactly where I have the question. Which customers?
Our
Now,
customers.
No, I know.
Yes.
I didn't think you were going to, yes.
Oh,
So, I'm looking at the same map you are, but
okay.
back there. Which cars are you going to direct out the gate? Because by the time the traffic starts building up to Easton Road, you're going to have blocked the gate.
The gate is in the back left corner there. So as the cars were coming, if they were blocking and backing up, we would open the gate and we would wave the cars through so that they couldn't. We would put cones on the 3 lanes so they could no longer go into the car wash, and then they would have to go out off-site through the back.
So would that be after they sat in line for 15 minutes to get to that point?
No, because we have there's 40 cars that can stack from where the 3 lanes meet. So assuming that's already full, at that point, in those rare days, again, that's a rare day that we have more than 40 customers waiting for a car wash.
Now, you say rare days, but there's lots of bright sunny days that I see those cars lined up on 611 in Warrington. So it'll happen more than you're alluding to.
Well, do you
But
understand what
I
I'm
also
saying?
think that you are making an effort to address it, so that's not my complaint. It's just I think there's more than you're alluding to.
I think what Mary is asking is, as the cars, they come in from 611.
Yep.
They come up to the end, they make a left.
Yes,
They then head down towards the turn.
correct.
What she's saying is, once that gets really backed up, and you open that gate, isn't the gate being blocked by the cars that are waiting to make that left turn into the lanes?
No, because cones.
How's the gate going to open is what she's asking.
Oh.
Is it going to open?
The gate will open, but how are people going to get through?
The gate's going to open, swing open, so it goes against
way
the
is it?
triangular. So you see the bollard there, so the gate goes that way. It could go the other way and block the spaces as well, but we're going to put cones there like we do at Warrington now. So cones will go on the 3 arrows, the gate will be opened, and then the cars will be directed off-site
So
if the
if-
car wash is
But you're not
closed.
So
taking
if
the
the-
cars from the back and sending them out.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
taking the cars that have waited in line for a while and sending them out.
We're not going to let them wait. That is, there might be, when you hit the bend there might be 8 to 10 cars. If it gets to the bend where those cars are lining up there, at that point, we're going to open the gate and send them out. We're not going to let it get all the way down to 611.
Okay, so you're not going to let it get down.
We're not
You'll start
letting it
opening
get
the
down,
gate
no.
Once it's up at the
We're
corner.
going to take them right at that corner. When it starts to back up, at that point, we will open the gate and tell them the car wash is closed. They need to come back. The manager, there's always a manager on site. The manager will be trained along with the individuals that are there. And if you've been to Warrington, you see how many people are on site there. Some days there's 6 people. They will hand them a voucher. They'll apologize. They'll tell them the car wash is closed, and they'll send them out the back and ask them to come back at a different time.
So the best way to probably put that then is, we're not waiting for the cars to back up on Easton Road. When the cars reach the corner where the access to the shared parking, when the line backs up to that point, then you will open the gate.
Correct. That's when it will be closed and the gate will be open. The car wash will be closed for future customers until, it's a limited period of time. Within 30 minutes, all those cars will clear up to the pay station, and then the gate will be closed and it'll be reopened for stacking again.
Going on, how do you stop new cars from coming in on 611?
Oh, they're going to come in, but we're not going to stop them. We're not going to put somebody directing them on 611. The only place that we can safely direct them is back in our corner. So they'll pull in, they'll be a little disappointed because they can't get their car washed. They're going to get a voucher, and they're going to be sent immediately right out, so they're not waiting.
So if they go out and they come back down to 611 and they make a left and then they make a left back in again.
Yep.
They could keep looping around and
They potentially could if they
keep getting
really,
vouchers.
if they really want to
You're
get,
going to put your sunglasses on?
if they really want to get their cars washed that often, but I would respectfully disagree with Mr. Whiteside. I would agree with him that when Pete's opened in Warrington, that line was longer. Right to this past year, we haven't had, to our knowledge, Jeff, there haven't been any backups there.
Zero for over a year and a half.
So when that does, although you say it doesn't happen, when it does happen at Warrington, do you use a shutdown procedure?
No, they stack out on 611 on
So
the
you wouldn't
side
be
of the
able to
road.
provide us with any data as to when you had to shut down, because you don't shut down?
We don't shut down in Warrington. They stack on the side of the road there. We can't let that happen here with the hotel owner per our agreement. We can't let there's a shoulder. So the cars used to, and again, it's been a year and a half since I've seen
Do the
them.
police ever get involved and say you can't have these cars stacking on 611 over in Warrington?
They have not. It happens for such a limited period of time and a limited number of days. It's like if you've been to Chick-fil-A.
You know, I understand it's our worst-case scenario.
Chick-fil-A over the
It's our
holidays
worst-case scenario.
is similar. I mean, the people wait in line for their chicken, and the police don't try to shoo them away. They let them get their chicken and keep moving.
Really efficient over there, though.
They're very efficient over there, and I'm glad you noticed that because these guys here, I'd submit to you, are very efficient too. If you see their operation, how many people they have, they're very hands-on, and I think, Jeff, you can speak to that.
I think they do a tremendous job of cranking cars through that place. I mean, my comments are not because it's too slow.
Right.
It's because it's too busy. And in Warrington, you can get away with it because you got shoulders there. There's a shoulder at the Chick-fil-A where those cars stack up. There's nothing here.
Right.
And it will be a traffic problem if we get cars stacked up on 611, especially at that spot.
If I can say something to that, one of the things that Rob's talked about, and you mentioned over there, is
They need you to use a microphone.
Yeah, they can't hear you back there, sorry.
if it gets to that corner over there, that's 20 more cars than we can stack at Warrington. 20. So it's not going to happen. We'll take care of it if it does.
And you're saying, east of that corner, so you turn in from 611.
That space where Days Inn is?
Yeah.
That's a no-go zone according to Days Inn. So that's your shut-off.
Correct. We're not going to let the cars stack on that main boulevard.
We don't want to pay any fines, believe me.
Everybody good with that? Sir, no?
Just for the shift.
'Cause I understand you're going to have a lot of people, and that's great, but as we know, it's oftentimes hard to hire people in this economy, and hopefully that changes. But, you know, if you're going to have a certain number of people per shift to juggle all the things that have to be juggled to manage on the busy days, that becomes a problem if you don't have all the people you hope to have. And that seems to be more of a problem these days for a lot of the businesses. But I don't know, Mary, if there's any way to deal with that.
What are the number of employees you have per shift, weekends versus weekdays?
It depends. It could be anywhere from 3
The
to...
mic?
Sorry. It's one of those
It could be anywhere from 3 to 9, just depending, and there's always crossover.
Depending on what?
Depending on the time of day, depending on the day of the week. And to answer your question, I can't answer a question I don't know.
No.
And
Nobody can predict this.
the only way I can answer that question is if it's not safe, we're not going to run the car wash. I mean, safety is our first priority with everything we do in setting up a car wash. If we don't feel like we have good ingress or egress, we don't even want to be there. So safety will be the priority. That's all I can say.
So you're in trouble if Chick-fil-A opens a car wash and sells chicken. All right, so that's it on that part of the subject? Anybody else?
So what we're doing also, if you'll see it in the second part of the arrangement with the hotel owner to get that easement, is we had to give him a few things, one of which was the wall in the front. The mulch hill is being renovated and providing a nice retaining wall with landscaping along the frontage. Let's see if we can see some of these. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I think there's a couple of renderings. This is the look straight on with the new entrance on your right. We're agreeing to re-top coat and rebuild that entire entranceway there coming into the site. Let's see. This is a look from the days in. You see the new wall there, the retaining wall with the top on it and the landscaping above it. Sidewalk there is being moved back. There's sufficient room for the decel lane, the sidewalk, a little grass strip, and then the retaining wall. And you see the entrance signs that you're asking, directional sign coming in there.
And is this, Rob, is this the elevation that we see here?
The elevation that we see here of the car wash, is that what it's going to look like?
Yes, we're committing that it'll be substantially in accordance with. It's been fully engineered. The engineer plans were given to Peter Stamfel. Peter Stamfel's an architect who works with them on the design of these, and he did these renderings. So
That wall goes all the way down?
all the way down to a point. John, you want to speak to how far it goes? And it goes higher, right, as it goes down?
Has to. Yes, I know.
Yeah, as I'm sure you're aware, as you go down, like, really, if you're looking at this picture behind you, it falls off quite a bit down that road. There's an existing, essentially, I think it's a cutout for might be a pad for an old transformer or something. And that's where the current kind of situation where this is ends, because as you get down towards the intersection further, there's a kind of a densely wooded area. So what we're doing is essentially, so you can see that cutout that I'm referring to there to the left.
Basically where the sidewalk ends is where the wall ends?
Correct. That would be where the wall ends, and then we're going to reconstruct the sidewalk to that point, essentially where it goes today is the proposal.
And actually,
That is township property where the woods are.
Right, the next piece is ours, right.
Okay. I think we have a shot from the rear as well, where the Pine Avenue street view. So this is the existing vegetation. We've agreed, obviously, to keep as much as we can and supplement, John, where we need to there, right, after installing the fence.
Yeah, that's correct. And this is the street view existing today, and what we kind of discussed at the Planning Commission is our goal is to actually keep this row of trees here, because, I mean, when you're talking about a screen for what can be out there for a vegetative screen, that's a pretty good screen, so our goal is to maintain that there, and then obviously around site, supplement where possible.
When you say your goal is to maintain that, and I'm asking this question because McCluskey in favor recommended that council not approve the waiver you're going to need to be able to put the parking as close to the rear of the property as you want. And that's the area where you're going to put the fence and try and maintain that existing vegetation, correct?
It is. So on the opposite side of that, we are going to install a fence, and actually our landscape architect and McCluskey Faber are going to meet on site. Our landscape architect is confident that we can install that fence and maintain that row of trees there, but they will work with your landscape architect to come to an agreement on what they're going to do out there and what would happen in case one of those trees did not survive.
Then it would probably be best for council to defer any consideration of those waivers until those issues were resolved.
So we should expect another McCluskey in favor letter
When you get to final plan approval, yes.
that would address the objections of McCluskey in favor in this
Yes.
letter.
Well, yes, exactly. And we need more than, gee, we hope we can.
Yeah, or a goal.
Right.
And so this is the view from Pine, and that's the type of gate we talked about there, on the bollard breakaway could be opened.
But it'll be valid, but it will have some type of locking mechanism.
Yes,
Only because you know what will happen if it doesn't.
yes, we're going to put a locking mechanism, but it'll be some type of breakaway feature. If a fire truck had to come through, they just push it through. And so if you see the landscaping we're providing there, as well on our site, to block the view of the vacuums from Pine. I think that's.
Rob, we mentioned it during your sketch. So council has selected street lamps
For the
611 corridor.
Okay.
And we have a spec for them, and they are going along the frontage, and they're one every 85 feet.
Is that on the plan, John?
Yeah, those are shown on the plan, and they're actually taken into account in our lighting plan as well.
Where's your dumpster?
Okay, the dumpster, we're actually putting ours in the rear there and screened, and then we're relocating the hotels. If you drive down that main entrance now, it's not the prettiest of sight with the dumpster situation. So we're relocating and rebuilding the hotel dumpster as well.
That was some of the concern from residents at the Planning Commission of location and also pickup times.
All that. I don't use this car, sorry, but I don't use Pete's Car Wash that much because it's not where I am. But a lot of them that I see and go to, I see trash issues. I see people empty the trash from their car, and there's some cars that I'm sure you've seen have remarkable amounts of trash in their car, and they use these car washes as an opportunity to clean out their car.
Mm-hmm.
And they fill that trash receptacle up pretty quick, and on a windy day, I see the trash blowing away, and that's an issue. How do your employees, do they regularly empty this trash, and then they're taking it to the receptacle?
Why don't you tell them how many receptacles you have?
I don't want to hear about trash blowing through
No,
neighborhoods.
that's a good question. We have a receptacle at every vacuum area spot, and they have a certain time where they go around, check every single one. They also have to check the hoses to make sure that they're working properly, and they empty them out and put them into the dumpster. We've never had any issues with blowing trash anywhere or any complaints from any neighbors, and most of our, besides Warrington, our other 3 locations are closer to neighbors than this. So.
We also agree, Mr. Nesbitt, as one of the conditions after discussing it with the Planning Commission that would be prohibited between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Question, this might be for Bill. With regard to noise from the vacuums and the blower. That's a green light. Test, test. How's that? Nothing?
Not on here.
If I just talk louder?
Yep. There you go.
So with regard to the vacuums and the blowers, there we go.
Okay.
Now it's on. Is there any sort of noise considerations? You said you have car washes that are closer to residents than this one. I assume you guys will be in accordance with whatever we have when it comes to noise ordinance.
Yep. You want to talk about the centralized vacuum system?
Yes. The centralized vacuum system, some of them we're able to store inside to keep the noise down, And then also with the blowers, they've come out with these new things called gators, where they kind of muffle the noise to the blowers, and it's always a concern of ours that we keep the noise down.
Just following up.
Thank you.
Just following up on Mr. Wade's, mine's dead now too. Everyone's dying. So, just following up on Mr. Wade's, what are your hours of operation?
7 to 7 Monday through Saturday, and 8 to 6 on Sundays.
So you'll be shut down by 7 o'clock every evening?
Yeah, there's still some, a couple of guys there, they have to clean up, make sure everything's ready to go the next day, and make sure everything's locked up and safe. But yeah, those are our hours of operation.
I think we also noted as a condition, we're willing to accept that condition because that's the same hours as
Every one of their other locations. If there's somebody in line already, if there are 10 cars in line and it's 7 o'clock at night, they'll put a cone behind the last car, and then those 10 cars can go through, and that's it. Then you start to close up the vacuums and clean up the site, and your guys are usually out of there, what, an hour afterwards, give or take?
Sometimes not even an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, but it could be an hour.
So then the whole site's closed for the night. Security cameras are on. We agreed with the planning commission to lower the lighting so it's not as bright, but there'll be cameras, security cameras throughout the outside. I think that was condition 5. We said the lighting on the car wash property shall be reduced after 11 p.m. so as not to disturb the adjacent residential homes.
Do you want, I don't know if you're at the point yet, but to go through the list of waivers?
Yeah, I think right now you were reading what the planning commission requests were.
These were just discussion items that we had with the planning commission, so we turned them into conditions and we sent them on to the township here to confirm what we mentioned to the planning commission we'd accept as conditions of plan approval.
Right.
They have a waiver.
I know, I just wonder if you want to hear the rest of the planning commission comments.
Well, yes, we should.
Want me to run through them
Yeah.
quickly?
Yeah, just so we know what you
The hours of operation that we just talked about. All lighting in the rear triangular shared parking lot shall be reduced to the minimum extent possible so as not to disturb any of the adjacent residential homes. Striping shall be installed on the blacktop to direct pedestrians in their route from the triangular shared parking lot to the hotel. That lot was approved as part of the hotel and is essentially overflow parking back there. Number 4, a sign shall be installed on the shared driveway indicating no through traffic. The lighting on the car wash property shall be reduced after 11 p.m. We talked about that. A note shall be added on the plan confirming that any damage to the landscaping along Pine Street during construction shall be replaced in a manner acceptable to the township engineer. Number 7, exterior cameras shall be placed on the car wash property and signed indicating that the car wash property is under surveillance. Number 8, trash removal for the car wash shall be prohibited between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Number 9, applicant shall maintain the grass and landscaping along the entire length of the property frontage on Pine Street. Applicant shall prohibit trucks from parking on the car wash property and shall install signs prohibiting truck parking. Evidently, that's been a historic issue with large tractor-trailer trucks parking back there. They will be prohibited by signage, and we'll do whatever we can to enforce that.
And then, Rob, just to add to that, things that council talked about tonight, you're going to put a sign up prohibiting right turns on Pine Lane into the neighborhood.
Yes.
We're going to have a condition about that whole back up, open the gate.
Yes.
Shut down the car wash. You're going to provide the township with a code key or whatever to be able to open the gate themselves. And you're going to staff the car wash with a sufficient number of employees to ensure that backups will be monitored, gate open, and trash emptied on a regular basis.
Correct. All those conditions are acceptable.
Install street lamps, even though they say they're on the plan. I'll throw that in. Okay, sorry.
On 611, the street lamps, right?
On 611,
Not on
yes.
Pine, just 611.
611.
That's all acceptable, and we'll meet with the township landscape consultant on site and look to see how we can maximize the preservation of that landscaping while still maintaining that lot that we have that was on the previous plan, and the fencing. We have the fencing at 6.5 feet in the rear, and then the code allows on the front, John, what, 4.5 feet or 4? 4 feet. So we reduce it down to 4, which will still block headlights from cars if they were to park in those spaces. We anticipate just using those for our employees. That's really the sole purpose of them for us, but they're there for the hotel if they have overflow.
You'll need to go through the waiver request, and it would be a good idea if you mentioned the zoning ordinance areas of noncompliance and how you're going to fix them, since you're not going to the zoning hearing board. But all of the McCluskey favor waiver requests will be deferred until you've worked out everything.
Okay.
Okay, so we have all that. Now we want to go through the waivers. So we have a Gilmore letter dated December 3rd.
It might be easier just to go to the bolt.
Might be easier to go to the Bowler letter of January 7th. It's in your meeting packet, and that's their requested waivers.
So I can walk you through them as we did the Planning Commission. Number one was the stormwater management.
Just hold on a second, Rob. So
Oh, sure.
Oh, good. It's a letter that looks like this, Bowler.
Yeah.
It's a,
Request for waivers.
December 7th, it says waiver request and planning commission discussion items.
Yes, sir.
It says revised January 7th, and under it in bold.
You're going to have to point out which ones were revised on January 7th, because I only have the December 7th.
Sure.
All right, so we'll start with number one.
Okay, John's going to help me on a few of these. Number one was the stormwater management to permit an underground BMP to drain in more than the maximum 72 hours.
And the reason for this is we did infiltration testing across the site, and the site does not unfortunately infiltrate, so we're using a managed release concept basin. We've worked through that with the township engineer and have had discussions with them on that.
We still have Eric there, right? Can he comment on these? Yeah. Eric. Eric, are you there?
Okay, the representation is that.
He's good with that waiver.
Okay. We're withdrawing the second waiver on the preliminary final. We're just here looking for preliminary. We'll then continue to work with outside agencies, your consultants, and come back for a final. Number 3 and number 4 deals with the size of the plans and the scale of the plans and the aerial plan, and we're looking for a partial waiver as to the aerial plan to show existing features by an aerial instead of the survey.
I think we generally waive that one as well, so I think we're fine there.
Number 5, requiring improvements to the streets abutting the subject property. There, we're looking for a waiver along Pine Street, or Pine Avenue, excuse me, to preserve the existing situation. John?
Yeah, so that's in reference, we're installing sidewalk around the perimeter down here, and then obviously down 611 to a point. But up here, we want to be able to preserve these trees up here. Installing sidewalk would remove all of those.
And I would.
Everybody okay with it?
We're going to wait on this waiver until, I think we should, all the landscape waivers should be.
Oh, this is part, okay, so we're going to hold off on that one?
This was a street, this was a waiver, requesting to preserve, this was the roadways, not to have to widen and improve Pine in front of the.
Mayor, does that fall under the
Parking
same
lot.
thing, or is this a separate issue?
and it can wait, but just so council, just so knowledge only, we can certainly wait, and I back Mary up in waiting, but that section, the residents, the neighbors did not want any improvements or sidewalks in that
Right.
area, just for your knowledge.
So we'll hold off on that, but it seems like that one's going to be okay.
We are, I will just advocate a little bit, Mr. President, we are providing a lot more off-site widening down north on 611 there in front of the hotel than we're giving up there, so.
Right, no, and I said, I think we're all in agreement that that
Okay.
would be okay. I think because the landscaping area is along there, Mary feels like we should hold off
Okay,
and deal with that when the landscaping part's done, so.
fair enough. Number 6, to permit a 6-inch curb reveal instead of an 8-inch reveal. John, why is that?
Typically, so an 8-inch curb reveal is more standard along PennDOT roadways. When you're on site, 6 inches more standard. It's easier for people and presents less of a tripping hazard.
And bumpers coming off. I think we're good with that one.
The next one is to permit less than the 20 feet of open space between the curb line edge of the paving area and any parking area and the outside wall of the principal building. And that's primarily due to the type of use that we have here, John?
It's the use, and it's also the physical constraints of the site. Obviously, we're dealing with a limited site area, and what we've done is essentially, instead of providing, area up against the building, we've kind of consolidated it in this area and created ourselves a larger planting area where we can put a more substantial buffer.
I think Eric's usually okay with that one, right?
Do you want his comment?
On each one of that applies, if you could just see if he's okay
So
with it.
he's okay with the curb waiver, he's okay with the 20-foot open space waiver, and he is okay with not improving Pine.
We held Pine, though.
What's that? We're waiting on Pine, but
Yeah, we held Pine, right.
now you have the engineer support too, so
Okay.
we're good.
The next two I'll do in a clip here, because,
You're deferred, so you don't have.
which was that?
The 7 and 8 are the ones in the request the letter, so they'll be deferred.
Oh, 7 and 8 are deferred?
No, I'm sorry, 8 and 9.
8, 9.
Okay.
So 10 is next one.
Oh, he had input on 9, which was the size of the parking dimensions? Okay. Number 10 was to not require a loading area. Again, we have very little supplies that come here. Jeff, I think it's, how often do you have something delivered here? When it comes in a van, right?
Yes.
How often is it?
It could be 2-3 weeks, every 2-3 weeks.
It's mostly soap products?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're small now, they're not big drums anymore.
Ben's okay with everybody?
Yep. Number 11 is to permit sidewalk within 5 feet of the curb line, and this is due to the limited space that we have available for sidewalk along Eastern Road, John?
Yes, we are providing it where we can. We're providing here along our frontage, but as you get down the road here, we're working with kind of limited space with grading things out and having the wall, and then again up here along Pine. We get a little bit pinched as it comes in here, but we're providing as much grass as we can between to the street and the
Well, I think we
sidewalk.
wanted the sidewalk, so I think we can relent a little bit on the,
Yes, yeah. But at all points, you have some type of grass. It might just be not much in certain areas.
Yeah.
You don't go, the sidewalk won't go against the curb.
That's correct.
you're good on that one. Number 12?
That was requiring a sidewalk connection from Easton Road to the hotel. We don't own the hotel property. We did agree to do some striping where we could do it, but there's just, John, not really a proper location to start putting sidewalk on their property.
And I think that the difficulty becomes, we are working, obviously, we're doing some improvements there that will help and benefit, our business as well. And if we're starting to install sidewalk across, the adjacent property that we don't own, it gets a little bit difficult for the client.
I think we're good with that one, right? I don't think that's necessary.
Number 14 was to permit planting fewer than the required amount of replacement trees. We did agree at the Planning Commission, John, for discussion to relocate some of those trees to the rear, correct?
Yes, so we did have conversations, and what we would do is agree to plant the required quantity throughout the site. Location would obviously need to be different than what is required per the ordinance.
Okay.
That's a deferral.
Deferral? Okay.
Did you do number 13?
We didn't.
Oh, did I miss it? Oh, I'm sorry. 13 was to permit grading within 5 feet of the adjacent properties and within the public right-of-way. The applicant was requesting this waiver to provide improvements to the adjacent property. John, you want to explain that?
Yeah, so obviously we are doing work across the property lines. We're going to be grading. We've got grading that'll be happening in between these two property lines, and we're obviously doing grading along the right-of-ways here.
That will be with easement or approval of the adjacent property owner.
Correct, yes. That's the form we provided to you.
Eric is okay with grading within 5 foot of the property line waiver. Are you okay with that?
Looks like Mark 15 to 20 are all involving landscaping issues.
39.
Just to speed this up.
Okay with that? 15 to 20 are all landscaping issues, so we'll defer on those.
Okay.
21.
21 was to permit parking within the right-of-way. This is parking spaces located within the Hill Avenue Paper Street. John? Yeah, it's small. Very
Essentially,
small
it's these two spaces here. They're technically within the right-of-way, but that's Paper Street isn't used, and it allows us to create a more contiguous parking lot.
I think we're good with that.
And lastly, to permit the minimum maintain light levels less than 1 foot candle and greater than 3 foot candles, and incident light spill greater than 0.3 foot candle along the public roadways. You want to explain that, John?
Yeah, and where this comes in is along the right-of-ways down here. We've obviously have the street lights that I discussed earlier. Those are up on the street. They create light and create that larger light spill, and the 3-foot candles happens. We have to light the property in accordance to keep things safe out there. So in order to do that in an effective manner, it creates light levels above that. But as Rob mentioned previously, we are agreeing to dim lights where,
At 11.
outside of, business hours to help with the neighboring properties.
Are you okay with that? Okay, I think that covers them all, right?
Well, if you could go to the Gilmore letter
Eric, are you there?
and address items 3 and 4. I think you've already addressed
Can you
what
speak?
you're going to do with the fence.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Impervious surface one, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Sure.
I don't understand that one.
Yep, sure. If I can address A3 and A4. A3 dealt with a question regarding, does the impervious surface in the area of the rear triangular shared parking lot exceed the permitted impervious surface allowed in that zoning district? And it's our position that that's non-conforming. It's an existing parking lot. It was built. Somebody has jackhammered up the blacktop there, and it still sits there jackhammered up. But we're putting the parking lot back substantially where the prior parking lot was. We understand it was jackhammered up by a prior owner to prevent trucks from parking back in there. We're going to clean it all up and put it back to where it was.
Eric's okay with that?
Eric, are you okay with that?
That's fine.
And then lastly, the Gilmore pointed out that there is a requirement under your ordinance that all one-way internal access drives be 15 feet in width. We're submitting that our stacking and our escape lanes throughout our site are not subject to that as you would for a driveway there. They're 12 foot in width. If we made those 15 foot in width, people would be starting cutting through and in between the stacking lanes. It was just way too wide. That 12 feet is a proper for a stacking lane. We're talking about once you get into those lanes and waiting for the
Right.
car wash.
Eric, you all right with that?
I mean, it's really a zoning interpretation, so as long as Bill's okay with that interpretation, we're fine.
Bill, you're okay with that?
Yes, I talked it out. Yes, I talked it out with them, and yes, we're fine with that.
Okay. Everybody up here okay? All right, that covers Gilmore's letter. So Mary, how many items do we have deferred? 5 or 6? No, we have more than that. We have about 7 or 8.
Yeah. Basically, the McCluskey.
The Klusk favor notes. Okay, so what's the next step, Bill, for these guys to come back?
Well, sorry, I'm not sure what mic works here anymore. So they would like preliminary approval with conditions from you. I'm sure they would probably like that this 4th Monday or the 2nd Wednesday in February. And then they're going to meet with the landscape architect, address all the landscaping issues, and come back well, they would first go to the Planning Commission for final review after they meet with the landscape architect, clean up whatever comments are left, and then they'll be back in front of you for final review after they get recommended final approval from the Planning Commission.
What would be the most expedient method, going the second Wednesday or fourth Monday?
Well, the sooner the better, so if you give them
I mean,
fourth,
for you guys as well.
Yeah, we like to go sooner so that we can then continue to move forward with the outside agency approvals and revise and resubmit the plans and have our on-site meeting with the Favor McCluskey team and continue to work with your consultants.
So we can get everything wrapped up on this, not wrapped up, but for the second Wednesday, we can get what we need to get preliminary.
I'll do my best to get you a resolution for the fourth Monday for preliminary, and then they can.
The second Wednesday's not going to work for you.
no, fourth Monday.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I was mixing up my months. All right. Fourth Monday it is then, right?
That's what we're going to shoot for.
Okay, that's the 24th.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good, thanks for all your
Appreciate
time.
the time.
Good, thanks, thank you.
All right, next is a planning assistance contract with the Commissioners of Montgomery County.
This is the planning assistance contract with Montgomery County for the Planning Commission, Montgomery County Planning Commission to be our consultant to do the update to the comprehensive plan. As council knows, we've tried to put this in our budget the last 2 years, but because of other budgetary items, it never made it through to the adopted budget. So it's $17,000 for the first year. It's a 2 to 3 year process. Very public, very open, very transparent process as we move. This is going to be the plan for the township for the next 10 years after it's adopted. So this is the contract again with the Planning Commission. As you see in the contract, it's $17,000 each year. We hope to be done this December of 2023. But if we need to go into the third year, the contract has that time built into it.
Okay. Any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to authorize the planning assistance contract with the Commissioners of Montgomery County for the Montgomery County Planning Commission to assist with the update to the township's comprehensive plan.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next is the presentation on keeping Horsham community as a whole in our redistricting efforts.
So as council knows, the state is going through their redistricting, which they do after every census. So every 10 years, they look at redistricting from the census data, population data. So as you see on the second slide here, what the proposed map is for Horsham is right now we are whole. We have one state representative for all of Horsham, and what the proposed map shows is Horsham divided between the blue and the orange. So this is Horsham Road. It comes down, this is Norristown Road here, comes down Hollowell here, cuts across some open space here, some creek area here, then it jumps back out to Whitmer Road, then goes into a small section, not the whole section of Horsham Town, so very confusing, comes back out to Whitmer Road, this is Drescher Road, comes down, and then cuts through the office park. So that's the proposed map. So we have a little campaign going to keep Horsham whole. So redistricting, so that happens every 10 years in the state of Pennsylvania, changes the boundaries of legislative districts to reflect changes in population and the new census data. The commission that's been established has approved a preliminary map, which I just shared, which would divide Horsham and place it into two separate districts. And how would it hurt us? Everything we've been working on, everything in town that we've been working on. Number one, just as simple as it is, confusion to our residents and voters on who is their legislature and who represents them. Our efforts to continue the remediation of PFC contamination in the groundwater. It would hurt us to secure state funding for the traffic improvements necessary for the redevelopment of the former Navy base. It would hurt us with the assistance in the economic development necessary for a successful redevelopment of the former Navy base and keeping our Korean, American, and Indian American communities united. As you're aware through our census data, these two minority groups have been growing in Horsham and Montgomery Township, and right now they have one legislature, one voice for them in Harrisburg. Population is not a reason to divide Horsham. That's a question I've gotten a lot. Well, did we reach that threshold? And we have not. So looking at the Commonwealth, and not a single township in Pennsylvania is larger than the 64,050 targeted size of a district. So there should be not a township that gets split. So understandably, communities that are larger than the target size, they must be split. But that only includes Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown, Erie, Reading, Bethlehem, and Scranton. So population is not a reason why Horsham needs to be split. The Pennsylvania Constitution, Article 2, directs that the legislative district shall be composed of compact and contiguous territory and that no township shall be divided in forming legislative districts. The Pennsylvania Constitution provides that unless absolutely necessary, no county, city, incorporated town, borough, township, or ward shall be divided in creating a legislative district. We are supported by Fair Districts Pennsylvania. They actually have proposed a map to the commission that keeps Horsham whole, keeps the district that Horsham would be in all of Horsham, all of Montgomery Township, and a little bit of Hatfield Township. We are also supported by the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, PSATs, the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority, and the Horsham Land Redevelopment Authority. This is it. Friday, January 18th is the deadline to provide comments to the commission on their proposed map dividing Horsham. And it is very easy, very simple to provide comments by going to the website, redistricting.state.pa.us/comment, and let the commission know that you want to keep Horsham whole. So I think it's a very important effort that we're trying. I'm going out on Friday to Harrisburg to speak. I have 5 minutes, but to speak to the commission. We're hoping that the comments that have been submitted through the website and letters and resolutions, as well as myself going out on Friday, might persuade them to keep Horsham whole. I don't see any reason why, especially Fair Districts PA's map would work fine for Horsham. So I think we support Fair Districts PA's proposed map, and I'm really hoping that Horsham remains whole. To just have that one voice is huge. We all know that. So, and it's not about political affiliation. It doesn't. We've had a Democratic representative. We had a Republican representative. It's keeping Horsham whole. It's keeping Horsham whole. Forward on all the great work that we've done, and we need that support. We don't need competing districts being split up in half, and then two legislatures competing for a limited amount of funding in Harrisburg for their district. So I hope we're successful.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Anybody have any questions? Alrighty, then last item is, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.